Hey everyone, welcome to D20 Woodworking, and today we're talking about the newest hero pack from Marvel Champions, that is Phoenix. And I'm super excited for Phoenix slash Jean Grey because this is my favorite X-Men. My favorite X-Men of all time. I think she's a fascinating character. I think she was always awesome in the stories. So I had high expectations for this pack for a few reasons. One, because she's my favorite, right? Two, because Cyclops and the mutant box, Mutant Genesis, kind of like let me down a bit. And you can see those videos up here. I'll link them. So I wanted to see something really different and unique done with her. And I also wanted her to be thematic, right? I want theme in this, and I want it to be thematic. Cyclops did have some theme with the leadership build that they were kind of doing with him, which was cool. I was appreciative of that. But I had high expectations for Phoenix. And I will say that I believe most of my expectations were met or exceeded. I'm not over the moon excited about her, but I'm pretty excited, right? And in the past, I've been pretty down on a lot of this stuff, but I'm pretty pumped for her. I'm gonna be honest. And really quick, I want to mention that if you want to see more content like this, hit subscribe. When you hit subscribe, you'll see all the different Marvel Champions content we have out there. We have gameplay videos, we have previews, we have reviews, we have so much different stuff. We also talk about Lord of the Rings, Arkham Horror, all sorts of fun things. And you can get all that by hitting subscribe just down below. And while you're down there, hit like and leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts about Jean Grey. So let's dive in. I'm just going to go through the page with you, and we're going to talk a bit about this. So this is the Fantasy Flight page for her. And I'm not going to read all this text and whatnot. You can read it. The one thing I will point out, which I thought was kind of interesting, is they talk about in here her restrained and unrestrained versions. And we'll get into what that is in a second. But when you read this, they talk about power counters, and they talk about how, keeping her on one side before she's unleashed and whatnot. And when she's unleashed, it's going to be a significant boon when it happens at the right time, but also comes with some risk, which we'll go over in a bit. You won't be able to flip the Phoenix Force back to its restrained side until at least 4 power counters back on it. So take care not to remove too many counters if you aren't ready to unleash it just yet. The wording of this makes it sound like the game goes in a completely left field direction. And I read the text first before seeing the cards, and I got super hyped. Then I saw the cards, and I got less hyped. So let's go over the cards, right? So let's start with the basics, right? Jean Grey, 3 recovery, 6 hand size, which is normal enough, but 9 hit points, so a little on the squishier side, but that's fine. Mutant and psionic, and if I'm mispronouncing that, I apologize. I just psionic. That's what it's going to be. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. So setup, you put Phoenix Force upgrade into play, restrain side face up, place 4 power counters out on it. After you make a basic recovery, place 1 power counter on Phoenix Force. Okay, and we'll get into that in a second. Her hero side, 3 thwart, which is bonkers, 1 attack, 2 defense. And she has Psionic Bond, hero resource, remove 1 power counter from Phoenix Force, generate a wild resource, limit once per phase, drops down to 5 hand size. Pretty cool, right? So you have 4 wild resources kind of right off the bat that you could do per phase. All right, so let's talk about Phoenix Force. So it's a permanent upgrade. You gain the restrained trait, and after the last power counter is removed from here, you flip the card. So when you flip it, you're now unleashed. You gain the unleashed trait. You lose your 2 thwart, but you gain 2 attack, which is kind of interesting, right? You go from a 3 thwart hero to now a 3 attack hero. Kind of interesting. Then after the 4th power counter is placed on here, you would flip back to the other side. You would gain your 2 thwart back, but you lose your 2 attack, right? I like this. I like this idea because we've seen this with other heroes, right? We've seen the flipping of the card with other heroes. But with every other hero that you see it with, you can flip on demand, pretty much. This is going to be work, right? This is going to be work to actually flip the card, which is what I like most about it. All right, so let's get into some of our cards. We got our first 2 cost support with White Hot Room. Alter Ego action, exhaust it, and you get to choose either place 1 power counter on Phoenix or heal 2, which is pretty good, right? If you flip over, you can essentially get 2 power counters, right? So if you're trying to get more of them, this could be good. Get more wild resources, help you down the line, right? The card can easily pay for itself fairly quickly, I would think. So fine enough card. Phoenix Suit is probably the most interesting as far as restrained and unleashed go. I keep saying unrestrained, but unleashed and restrained go. 2 cost upgrade. She now gets aerial trait, which is always awesome. I love seeing that trait being used more and more. While you're on restrained trait, you gain steady, which I think is the better version of this, right? While you're restrained, you get steady. I would take steady all day, every day. Unleashed, you get retaliate, which is interesting because that would suggest that it would be okay to take some damage, but you don't really want to take damage with her, right? She only has 9 health. Now, we'll get into some cards that will kind of help this out in a little bit, but in general, Unleashed, it doesn't seem to be as good as the restrained version, right? Just in generally speaking. Psychic Blast, deal 4 damage to the villain. If you are unleashed, deal 4 damage to each minion engaged with you. Oh, 2 cost event. It now seems that it's better to be on the unleashed side. Interesting. Telepathic Trickery, same thing basically. 2 cost event, 4 threat from a scheme, and if you're unleashed, you can stun and confuse an enemy, not just a minion, but an enemy. Again, unleashed seems to be better off here. Phoenix Firebird, 1 cost event. You get to choose as a hero action to remove 1 power counter from Phoenix Force and ready Phoenix, which is awesome. Or place 2 power counters on Phoenix Force. Also awesome, right? Pretty good stuff. This right here is probably the most interesting card that they have going on. It's a 4 cost upgrade with Mind Control. Attached to a non-elite minion, take control of attached minion and treat its controlled ally with a blank text box, and then thwart, switches the scheme. Takes 1 consequential damage. This at first I thought was kind of expensive, but somebody pointed out, which is very, very true, that it does remove the minion from the game, right? So, well, not from the game, from play, right? So now you don't have to fight a minion. You now get the minion as an ally. So it's like having a 4 cost ally while also getting rid of a minion. The cost, I would agree with the person that was telling me about this, that it justifies the cost. At first I was a little shaky on this, but I think it's a pretty darn good card. So, all right, next we have Telekinesis Shield. Attached to a friendly character. Now, according to the rules, friendly is basically anything. Like, anything is friendly. So, you can be your friendly character as of now of how the rules are stated, unless things change. So, you could put this 2 cost upgrade on yourself, and when attached character would take damage from an enemy attack, place that damage here instead. Then, if there's at least 5 damage here, you discard it, which is great. This can basically up her to 14 life, right? It's not really 14 life, but you get the general idea, right? You can up her and make her kind of beefier. Kind of an interesting card with how it could work with them protection, right? Next is a 3 cost upgrade, Rise from the Ashes. When you would be defeated, remove this card from the game, ready your identity, and restore it to its printed hit point value instead. Remove each power counter from Phoenix Force. Now, twofold, this is interesting because, one, this could make you flip over to your Unleashed side if you were not ready to do so, right? Or if you're already on that side, then it doesn't really make a difference. You're just going to basically get a second chance, and you restore up to 9 hit points. This card is really, really good. Now, the question is, I also thought that Ticket to the Multiverse was going to be really, really good, and I rarely ever played it. I assume I would play this, right? It's basically a free life for 3 costs. I don't know why you want it. And again, it seems like the detrimental thing is that removing these counters, which would force you to the Unleashed side. Now, you could make the argument that it's removing those counters, so you're losing out on wild resource value, which I would agree, right? Let's say you have 5 counters built up, then you lose that value by letting yourself, activate this card. Well, you would be losing if you didn't, right? So I guess that's the argument, is that you're losing value in that. But again, the game seems to be pointing us that it's a net bad thing to be unleashed, or you don't really want to be there unless you're truly ready. And then we get into the allies, and there's some interesting allies. I'm not going to go through all of them right now. But there's some allies that are good for justice, good cards. This was the most interesting one, Psychic Manipulation, right? You can only do it if you're a psionic trait. When the villain schemes, this activation removes threat instead of placing it, which can be huge, right? There are some villains that could do a decent amount. Cerebo is the other interesting card that's coming out of this. Play only if your identity has a mutant trait. And then you can exhaust Cerebo, search the top 5 cards of your deck on the alter ego side for an X-Men ally. If you're psionic, you can look for through the whole deck, which is, for Jean Grey, is going to be a really, really good card for her. So, what we have seen is that being on the Unleashed side is supposed to be maybe not the best thing. But besides, what was it, the one card we showed, Phoenix Suit, there's very few negatives to being unleashed, right? I would argue this is probably the one negative right here. As of right now, when we look at her cards, we only have, I think it's 12 of the cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry, we have 10 of the cards currently revealed of our 16 card deck, right? So we know that, well, we don't know, but most likely, right? Psychic Blasts and Telepathic Trickery and Phoenix Firebird. There's probably going to be at least 2 of those cards, so we can assume that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then the allies 13, so we're missing 3 cards. It might be just each event is actually 3 of them, right? There might be a whole nother event that we don't know about. There's some, basically what I'm saying is there's some things we don't know about, and there's a chance that there could be other cards that are beneficial on the restrained side, right? Or detrimental on the unleashed side. So the reason I bring this up is because I didn't know at first why you wouldn't want to be unleashed. And the closest reasoning to that is because her obligation may be the worst obligation. And this card alone may be why you don't want to be unleashed. So Burning Hunger. When revealed, if you have the Unleashed trait, search the encounter deck, discard pile, and set aside area for Dark Phoenix and reveal her. Then remove Burning Hunger from the game. If you have the Restrained trait, remove 1 power counter from Phoenix Force, and this card gains Surge. So if you're Unleashed, basically it's Shadows of the Past coming in, right? More or less. Which, okay, so we have to see what is her card. Well, it's Dark Phoenix Minion, which is kind of interesting because she would be the Dark Phoenix, so I guess it'd be like an internal battle, but whatever. Dark Phoenix comes in as a 2/2, 12 life, steady, toughness, villainous. When Dark Phoenix schemes, place would be threat on Consume the World if able. When revealed, search the encounter deck, discard pile, and set aside area for Consume the World and reveal it. This is terrible, right? Because what is Consume the World? Side scheme that's permanent. It's a permanent side scheme that comes in with 6 threat. It has a constant boost icon. After threat is placed here, if there is at least 12 threat here, regardless of how many players, right? 12 threat here, the players lose the game. This right here is the most interesting thing about this deck to me, is that we now have a hero where their nemesis can end the game. And I'm very happy with this, right? I'm very, very happy they're willing to try something different, try something new, because Phoenix does seem like a pretty strong hero, not overly strong. I'll be honest, I was expecting him to be a little more powerful. I think what's going to be interesting to see is if, what is it? The mind control. If there's 1 or 2 of them, right? If you can get kind of 2 minions and cycle through this deck a few times with it, I think that's going to be really beneficial. If there's going to be cards that let you go fetch other Phoenix cards to get this card out there more often, I think this becomes a more interesting deck. Some of our other upgrades I think are pretty good, right? I don't think she's over the top powerful, but she's strong. She's definitely strong. I think there's no doubt about it. But what I think is the most interesting, and the way they're positioning this thematically, I love. And this is what my biggest thing is with this. Looking through the cards that we see now, I don't think that you can win the game if Dark Phoenix comes out. I really don't. I really don't. I think Phoenix will have a hard time defeating Dark Phoenix with steady, toughness, and villainous, right? A 2/2 with 12 life, and we're seeing cards that only do 4 damage. And then if you're unleashed, 3 damage, right? So, okay, in a round, at best, you could do 7 damage, right? Then you do another 3 attack normally. Okay, you're up to 10 damage, right? You would need 2 big hits in a row and then 2 regular attacks at 3+ attack, right? It would take a lot to get Dark Phoenix down. And I like that. I like that risk. I like that chance that this is going to be a whole nother side battle that's going to have to like really take your attention. And once it's out there, you're going to have to deal with this. And I think that's the one drawback of why you wouldn't want to be unleashed, right? If you're just restrained, you remove 1 power counter from Phoenix Force. And as long as you have 2 on there, you're okay. You don't have to worry about it. And it kind of makes sense that the game would overpower the unleashed side. I mean, it makes sense thematically because if unleashed power, you should be stronger. But the biggest downside appears to be Dark Phoenix and Consume the World. And to me, this is the most exciting thing with this. I'm hyped for her for that sense. I'll be honest, I was expecting her to be a bit stronger. And there's still, again, there's a handful of cards we don't know about yet. But let's say none of those cards are like truly bonkers, like not like an 8 damage card, right? I don't think she's that powerful of a hero. I think a lot of it's going to be, generating resources when you want to, and playing that game, right? Building up resources, finding other ways to get resources and get allies out there. I think as a justice hero, she works pretty darn well, but this is what makes her interesting. With 3 thwart, she can work really well in justice. She can work really well in aggression. She can work really well in protection, right? Actually, in justice, she'd be better as 3 attacks, so I take that back. But with 3 thwart, she's looking really good in aggression and protection. And that's something that aggression obviously is known for, not being really, really strong with that. And her build, her kit, can work with aggression cards, right? This to me is going to be the most fascinating thing. Is I see her kind of being like a Miss Marvel, where you can play almost any aspect with her and probably be pretty efficient, probably be pretty good. And that's pretty exciting to me, right? I want to see that. I want to see different things pushed like that. I know, again, we saw a bit with Miss Marvel, and there's a few heroes that can do a bunch of different aspects, but I think this is the X-Men true all-around can do anything hero. And again, I am happy with the fact that they are making your obligation and your nemesis painful, right? This is a new way of doing it. This is a unique way of doing it. I'm a big fan of that. And I like the whole Phoenix Force flipping aspect, that it's not on command, that's actually challenging, and that if you wanted to flip, it takes work to get to. And if you accidentally flip and you don't want to, it's going to take work to get back. I think that is really, really cool. I think it's a step in the right direction. So I guess in general, what does that leave me overall with her? I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited. It's not everything I expected. Again, I thought she'd be a little more powerful. I thought there'd be some more kind of mind tricky cards besides the mind control thing. I think the mind control thing is fantastic, but I thought there was gonna be other cards, right? And I'm a little disappointed there isn't, but it doesn't mean they're not gonna be there. I just expected that part of the reveal. I also, with how they phrased, the whole thing of like being restrained and don't flip over until you're ready, I expected Unleashed to have more negatives associated with it. And honestly, why not just rush to the Unleashed side, right? You could still get the Phoenix Force tokens on it, right? It doesn't stop you on the Unleashed side. You could still get power tokens on it up to 4, right? So you can always have just like 3 resources on there and use them with your Unleashed Phoenix. So why not keep that? Once we play it in hand, it'll be interesting to see how it actually goes about that. If your nemesis, your obligation, or really your nemesis, I should say, that the chance of your nemesis coming out is really just that scary that you're like, I don't want to risk it, right? And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's more of a gambling type hero, which, okay, I'm for that too, right? That's something a little bit different and interesting. So overall, I'm very excited about thematically how she is. I'm pretty excited with her kit, and I'm excited that they're trying something different. They're trying something new. They're pushing this game in a different direction. So overall, this is probably the happiest I've been with any of the X-Men announcements. This to me was the best so far, and she is my favorite hero, so it makes me happy that they kind of did her right for the most part, at least so far. We'll see once she officially comes out. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments. What do you think? What do you like? What do you dislike? Was I on the mark with things, off the mark? I don't know. You let me know down in the comments. Make sure, once again, hit the like button. Do me a huge favor, hit subscribe, because really, we'll have to follow up with this when she eventually comes out to see how she actually plays and how she is. All right. Thank you all for watching this video.